Welcome back. We are broadcasting live from beautiful Brisbane for Magic Round. But first, let's check in with London again now, where final preparations are underway ahead of the King's coronation.
Former Palace Press Secretary and all-round top bloke, Dickie Arbiter joins us live. Dickie, good morning to you. You must be pretty excited, huh?
I'm pretty excited. I think a lot of people are excited. I walked down the Mall today and people had pitched tents from Monday onwards. They've got to remove them by 6 o'clock on Saturday. But I was talking to a Canadian. She jumped out and talked to me. And then a friend of hers joined her. He'd flown in this morning from Toronto and he was going to fly back to Toronto on Sunday. So he's just flown in for the coronation. I met a South African couple, had just flown in from Cape Town, and they were flying back to Cape Town on Monday. So there's a terrific international spirit here. Yeah. And the Brits, as you know, are pretty laid back, and they're beginning to get excited because it's not far off, and they're going to join in the festivities, even though the forecast is rain.
Ooh.
Yeah, you've got to expect that, I guess, in London, don't you? Hey, the Royals were out and about ahead of the big day. Princess of Wales even giving an update on how preparations were going. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, the Waleses have been done pretty well. They've been to Soho. They went to the Dog and Duck pub to meet people. It's all about meeting and schmoozing people prior to the coronation. William pulled a few pints, pretty expert at that. I think he learned that up at St Andrews when he was at university there. But they had a good time, made a lot of people's day, particularly the princess, did a lot of selfies. And the people who got the selfies, they'll live with that memory forever.
How would the King be, do you reckon, given he's waited so long for this day to come?
Well, he's waited 46 years for this, since he left the Navy in 1976, and he's pretty relaxed about it. They've been rehearsing, he and Camilla, quite frequently in Buckingham Palace in the ballroom. They've marked out the ballroom, well, they haven't, their staff have, marked it out like Westminster Abbey, so they know which direction to go and where to go. They've been wearing their respective crowns, because the crown weighs something, well, his crown weighs something like 2 kilos. And you kind of got to get used to wearing the thing. You can't move your head too much, otherwise it drops off. So they're pretty much relaxed about it. They know what they've got to do. They've rehearsed at Buckingham Palace. They've rehearsed at Westminster Abbey yesterday. So all they're waiting for now is the big day. Carl.
Yeah, it is absolutely a big day. You know, all eyes are also going to be on Harry and when he arrives to the UK. How's that all looking?
Well, Harry's a law unto himself. He'll arrive when he arrives, and you know we'll suddenly see him. We might see him before the coronation. We might only see him when he arrives at Westminster Abbey. Nobody is terribly sure when he's going to arrive. Look, it took him a month to tell his father that he was actually coming to the coronation. So when he arrives is anybody's guess. Sarah.
Yeah. I can hear it in your voice, Dickie. You don't need to say anything. At Nine's, thank you, mate. At Nine's special coverage of the coronation of King Charles III begins tomorrow with an extended edition of Weekend Today from 6 a.m. It's like the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. The King Charles coronation will be a complex operation for UK police. To discuss, let's bring in former Royal Protection Officer Simon Morgan in London. Simon, great to see you again, my friend. Look, it's going to be a massive one, isn't it?
You too, Carl. Yeah, good to be back. Yes, it is going to be the third major event in the last 12 months, you know, and I think this one has got a lot of resources thrown at it because I think it's going to be slightly different with regards to its risk profile than the last two events.
Look, we saw that scare at Buckingham Palace earlier this week. Will that have rattled security staff at all?
I think it cauterises the thinking that, you know, you do have to have the fixated threat as part of your plan, because clearly this individual was fixated. He kind of came to the palace wanting to kill the king and push the shotgun cartridges through the fence. But yes, I don't think it would cause concern because in an instant like that you're measured by the response, and there was a very swift police response. But I think it just, in the eyes of the commanders, justifies the plan that they have put in place.
Having been there at the Queen's funeral and seen the operation going on behind the scenes, so many Aussies make the journey to Buckingham Palace. Give us an idea of some of the big logistics involved.
Yeah, you know, it's another big event. It's another big event for the Metropolitan Police Service and UK policing as a whole. A lot of resources have also been brought in to support the Met on this occasion. And, you know, you're starting to see now London slowly lock down. You know, I was at the Abbey today, and the search teams are going through that. Then that will be locked down to maintain its integrity. And then over the next 12, 18 hours, the major routes around the Mall, Trafalgar Square and Whitehall will also get completely shut down and searched, and then have their integrity put in place, ready for the big event on Saturday.
What are your major concerns, if any?
I think a lot has been made of the single cause issue, the people that are going to protest and use this event in front of the world's media to highlight their causes, whether that's the anti-monarchist movement, Not My King, Extinction Rebellion or Stop Oil. They've been very vociferous over the last couple of weeks, and certainly very vocal that they are going to turn up and protest, which, you know, is their right within the democratic society that we have. You know, and the police have to respect that, but also not make sure that it disturbs and disrupts the actual event. And I think the protesters have to be mindful that within this vast policing event, the centrepiece of it is actually armed policing, and they're going into an armed policing event. And they need to consider what their actions could potentially be misconstrued at, because somebody running out in front of the carriage procession, fiddling with a rucksack, trying to take something out of that rucksack, yes, it could be a banner, but similarly it also could be a bomb. And that's where the pressure on police firearms officers, which is constant, you know, really does up the ante, and the consequences could be quite catastrophic.
Simon, great to talk to you. Have a great weekend. Appreciate you being on. And 9 special coverage of the coronation of King Charles III begins tomorrow with an extended edition of Weekend Today from 6 a.m, says. Well, it's not just going to be a big weekend here in Brisbane. London is right now preparing for the coronation of King Charles III, an historic event 70 years in the making.
For more, we're joined by Royal Editor of the Daily Mirror, Russell
Rusty.
Myers, in London. There he is. Russell, still no sign of Harry. When's he expected to arrive?
Well, that's a big question. Good morning, both to you. I don't know at the moment. We're still watching and waiting for him to turn up. But certainly I do think it is going to be a very, very quick trip for Harry, because obviously we've had the fallout from his Netflix series, the book, which nobody was spared from his barbs. And I think it will be pretty uncomfortable for him to be around the family, to put it mildly. But I think, you know, he might be arriving tomorrow and then pretty much hot-footing out straight away.
Do you know there's been all sorts of stories circulating that, you know, I think probably from inside the palace, that he's been a nightmare to deal with, trying to coordinate it all. There have been so many of them, you half think it's true.
Well, I'm not sure what would give you that impression of him, Carl. I'm sure he's very, very mild-mannered and easy to deal with. But certainly, I think that there were a few headaches, let's put it that way, dealing with Harry. And, you know, people in the palace are most likely breathing a huge sigh of relief that Meghan isn't accompanying him, because it means it will be a quick trip. The fact that Meghan's staying behind with the kids, it's Archie's birthday, of course, or his 4th birthday, on the same day as the King's coronation. And that's why Harry will definitely want to be getting back, because, you know, it wasn't a very, very nice experience for him when he was here for the Queen's funeral. So, you know, there still needs to be a bit of patching up with the relationships.
So probably unlikely that they'll ask for him to sign their copy of Spare, you reckon?
Well, I'm sure they've all read it. I mean, I don't believe them for a second that they've said that they haven't read it. I mean, we all have, haven't we? And it was a great read. And even if he was speaking about his frozen private parts, it gave us much to laugh about.
Look, it's a big day for Camilla as well.
Yeah.
And the King, you know, the King's waited a long time for this day.
He has indeed. I mean, Princess Anne did an interview this week, and she said, we know exactly what we're getting, because he's been waiting to do the job an awful long time. And, you know, regardless of your affiliation with the royals, or whether you think that this is a good idea, it will be the best of British on the show. I cannot wait to see all the armed forces out there. It's going to be a fantastic ceremonial event. And I think that the King has a good heart, and for him, you know, to have a welcome like this for the nation, I think I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait to see him. I just can't wait to see Louis and how Louis just mixes things up.
He's going to step up.
You know, and Prince George has a special role as well.
He does. I mean, we've seen, you know, a few of the royals out and about over the last couple of days. A big last rehearsal at Westminster Abbey. We saw Kate and William in London pulling some pints, meeting the locals, and they were talking about George. He's going to be one of the pages of honour for the King, and a big role for him. And, you know, this is a chance of a new era for the family. We've had a lot of scandal, infighting over the past few years, so maybe a new leaf, who knows?
Yeah, we'll never know exactly. All right, well, thanks so much for your time, Russell. And Nine's special coverage of the coronation of King Charles III begins tomorrow with an extended edition of Weekend Today from 6 a.m.
Enjoy it all, Rusty. Thank you. Well, our top story, the royal family is preparing for the biggest event in a generation this morning. The finishing touches placed on the King's coronation as the Prince of Wales met with Anthony Albanese overnight.
That's right, and Europe correspondent Edward Godfrey is at the Mall and joins us live now. Edward, a big weekend ahead for the royals.
Yeah, it sure is. It's been a big week. It's been a massive build-up with lots of engagements. And as you say, one of those today involved Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. He met with the Prince of Wales, Prince William, this afternoon local time. There's a couple of photos which have been posted online from that meeting. And we understand the Prime Minister came bearing gifts. He gave the Prince a packet of Lamingtons, so very, very Australian. Earlier today, Kate and William rode in a carriage of a different kind than they're used to. They hopped on the tube for a trip into the city. We were there as they arrived in the heart of Soho. They turned up at the Dog and Duck pub. There were hundreds of people gathered outside waiting to see them. Some had arrived several hours earlier for a chance to see them and perhaps even a chance to meet them. They went inside, had a drink. They were there with the owners and some VIPs, and Will even hopped behind the bar and had a crack at pouring a pint as well. They spent about half an hour afterwards mingling with the crowds along the street there. Some were cheeky enough to ask for a selfie with the Prince and Princess of Wales. There's a huge planning and security mission to get something like that to go ahead, and that was certainly on display today with lots of police, but it's only a fraction of what's in place across the weekend and for Saturday's coronation. We know there's something in the order of 11,000 police officers across London for the weekend. There's facial recognition technology, there'll be rooftop snipers, and it's all coordinated from a bomb-proof bunker along the Thames. It's a massive, massive task.
Over the next 12, 18 hours, the major routes around the Mall, Trafalgar Square and Whitehall will also get completely shut down and searched, and then have their integrity put in place, ready for the big event on Saturday.
We've learned this evening that the King will pay tribute to his late parents at the coronation. Part of the floral arrangement will include cut-offs and flowers from plants, trees planted by Prince Philip and the late Queen Elizabeth II, so a lovely touch there. Guys, we're on the Mall where hundreds of people are camped out. Some have been here for days already. They've got themselves a good vantage point for the coronation, and a hush has just fallen over the Mall. So I think a few people, well, most of them may be falling asleep, although a large military helicopter has just gone overhead, which may wake a few up, but they'll be getting some much needed sleep if they can.
Ed, just quickly before we go, how's Carleen going on the Cardinals? Is she all right, or she slipped into
A bit of
the
a
darkness?
We might have to do a welfare check. No, she's good, I think. We left her. She's very happy with her Cardinet. She was very comfortable, nice and warm, and I think happy to see the back of us as well. So we'll just leave her be. We might be checking with her again tomorrow.
All right, mate. Thank you.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?